Welcome to the wild world of Pokemon. Pokemon are monsters you encounter in the wild, are given, trade with friends or strangers, or in the earlier games, steal. Each Pokemon has a sort of social status to trainers. A vast majority are regular encounters, Pokemon that appear in the wild, and it seems there are an unlimited population of them. Then, there are legendaries, where only one appears per game cartridge. Pokemon are caught with Pokeballs, and there are different stages of Pokeballs the farther you get into the game. You buy them at shops, or you can find them while walking through routes, or sometimes they're even given to you. Each Pokemon has stats, which dictates how powerful it is early on, and how powerful it can become later on. Most regular Pokemon can evolve into stronger stages when the level it grows to is achieved, or its evolution requirement is met. Legendaries tend to have some of the highest stats, hence why there are only one of each per game. Trainers are what you play as in every game, and the people whose Pokemon you battle along the way to gain experience and levels for your team. Most Pokemon games have gyms where stronger than usual trainers stay. At the end of every gym is a gym leader, which has the strongest Pokemon out of everyone else in the building. Beat the leader, and you earn a badge, which grants your Pokemon the ability to use special moves called HMs, or Hidden Machines, which allows you to progress the game. You need 8 badges to go to the Pokemon League, where you will face off against the Elite Four, and then the Pokemon Champion, to complete the main game. Pokemon Red, Green, and Blue are very similar games, as you can tell by the intros to all three. The main differences between themselves and Yellow are the Pokemon that can be found in each of them, as seen in this chart. The reason why I did not show Yellow's intro is because it is different from the original three, focusing on Pikachu and not a random Pokemon League fight. We will find out why it focuses on Pikachu later on in the video. If you haven't noticed by now, another difference between the versions are the varied colors for the same scenes and slightly different sprite appearances. Another small difference is that in Red, Blue, and Green, Professor Oak stops you and takes you back to his lab to choose your own Pokemon. In Yellow, a small cutscene plays where Oak encounters a Pikachu, catches it, then later gives it to you as your starter Pokemon. Unlike the other three games, in Yellow, this Pikachu follows you around and you can talk to it. Beyond that, there are other minor differences between the games, such as Jessie and James from the anime making a few appearances here and there in Yellow, but enough about the differences, let's get into the game itself. From a graphical standpoint, the games look fine for 1996 on the Game Boy. Some of the Pokemon designs in Red, Blue, and Green look horrendous, and I'm glad that Yellow was released to to make them more anime and official artwork accurate. The front sprites of the Pokemon tend to look alright, but the back sprites are absolute nightmare fuel. The overworld sprites in the routes, cities, and caves look decent, with the caves looking the most detailed to me. When legendary Pokemon sprites pop on screen, they're just static images which would not be acceptable in today's world, but in retrospect it gives off an eerie feeling that these powerful Pokemon are not moving at all until you approach them, then they squeal and a battle encounter ensues, making them seem that much more powerful than the average Pokemon. The battles scale with you as you level up if you battle every trainer in every route. Catching all 151 Pokemon is an afterthought the longer you play through the game. The main villains in these games, and several of the future installments including the remakes, are Team Rocket. Their plan is to steal other trainers' Pokemon and use them as tools of war to steal products and destroy anyone that gets in their way. Their leader, Giovanni, turns out to be the missing gym leader in Viridian City, and he holds the final batch before going to the Pokemon League. Upon defeating Giovanni, Team Rocket disbands. Or do they? These games also had several guidebooks written for them, including one that I own, Sandwich Islands Publishing's Pokemon Trainer's Guide, not licensed by Nintendo, written for fans, by fans. It covers the entire game, complete with screenshots of most locations and the Pokemon that can be found there. It's a great guidebook and you should buy it, for that nostalgic feeling. Also, shout out to the woman who drew the cover that has been stuck in my head since the guidebook was released, Vanessa Adams. I hope you are doing well out there in the world, wherever you are. If you are a newcomer to the Pokemon games, I would suggest playing whichever games are the most current, instead of playing Red, Green, Blue, and Yellow. Although I haven't played anything past Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, I know for a fact that the games out now in 2022 are vastly different than Red, Blue, Green, and Yellow. If you started with the originals and then immediately went to the current games, you'd be mostly lost. Instead, play the current games and then play the originals to see how far the series has come. These 4 games aren't particularly difficult, they aren't too much of a strain on the eyes, the music is great, the sound effects are okay, and they are the original games of the series. They always will be classics, and that is good enough for me.